Hello students, we have already read chapter 4, The Enemy, up to page number 40. Let's begin from page number 41. So, we have read that Sadao had moved to the general and told him all about the white man. The general was worried about it because he did not want Sadao to be arrested because he might need operation anytime, and he did not trust any other doctors because they were trained in Germany. So he wanted Sadao to be safe and sound. So he gives him an idea. It would be best if he could be quietly killed, the general said. Not by you, but by someone who does not know him. I have my own private assassins. Suppose I send two of them to your house tonight, or better, any night. You need know nothing about it. It's now warm. What would be more natural than that you should leave the other outer partition of the white man's room open to the garden while he sleeps? So the general suggested that he would be sending his private assassins, means murderers, to kill the white man, and nobody would be having any suspicion on Sadao, and if he wants, the dead body would also be removed. In this way, Sadao would be able to get rid of the white man. Good, the general said, yawning. They are very capable assassins. They make no noise and they know the trick of inward bleeding. If you like, I can even have them remove the body. Sadao considered that perhaps would be the best. Excellency, he agreed. Thinking of Hannah, he left the general's presence then and went home, thinking over the plan. In this way, the whole thing would be taken out of his hands. He would tell Hannah nothing, since she would be timid at the idea of assassins in the house. And yet, certainly, such persons were essential in an absolute state such as Japan was. How else could rulers deal with those who oppose them? So now here Sadao realized that the rulers certainly require such assassins or murderers because they have to prove their supremacy over others, and moreover, if anybody opposes them, then they have the assassins to clear the path. So he refused to allow anything but reason to be the atmosphere of his mind as he went into the room where the American was in bed. But as he opened the door, to his surprise, he found the young man out of bed and preparing to go into the garden. What's this? He exclaimed. Who gave you permission to leave your room? I'm not used to waiting for permission, Tom said gaily. Gosh, I feel pretty good again. But will the muscles on this side always feel stiff? Is it so? Sidao inquired, surprised. He forgot all else. Now I thought I had provided against that, he murmured. He lifted the edge of the man's shirt and gazed at the healing scar. Massage may do it, he said, if exercise does not. So, first thing is that Sadao did not want that his plan with General to be disclosed to Hannah because he did not want Hannah to be afraid of such a scene, and she would be timid at the idea. Moreover, when he reaches home, he finds that the white man or the American, he was not in his bed, rather he was going out towards the garden. He shouted at him and said that who has given you permission to move out, because he did not want his patient to be moving out. He wanted him on his bed and resting. Just at the moment, Tom said that his muscles were stiff on one side. Will it remain so? Then Sadaf forgot everything else, and being a doctor, he started um, convincing Tom about his well being, that if a massage is done, then it will be better. It won't bother me much, the young man said. His young face was gaunt under the stubbly blonde beard. Say, doctor, I've got something I want to say to you. If I hadn't met a Jap like you, well, I wouldn't be alive today. I know that. Sadao bowed, but he could not speak because Sadao had planned to murder this man, and the man was feeling thankful, full of gratitude towards Sadao. Sure, I know that, Tom went on warmly. His big, thin hands gripping a chair were white at the knuckles. I guess if all the Japs were like you, there wouldn't have been a war. And Tom said that if all the Japanese were like Sadao, then there was no question of war. Perhaps, Sadao said with difficulty. And now I think you had better go back to bed. He helped the boy back into bed and then bowed. Good night, he said. Sadao slept badly that night. Time and time again he woke, thinking he heard the rustling of footsteps, the sound of a twig broken or a stone displaced in the garden, a noise such as men might make who carried a burden. The next morning he made the excuse to go first into the guest room. If the American were gone, he then could simply tell Hannah that so the general had directed. But when he opened the door, he saw at once that was on the pillow was a shaggy blonde head. He could hear the peaceful breathing of sleep and he closed the door again quietly. So the first night, Sadao had waited anxiously that the assassins would come and murder the white man. And on the very next morning, he went first of all to the room of uh, the American just in order to inquire what had happened. But then he found that nothing happened and the white man was already there in his bed. He's asleep, he told Hannah. He's almost well to sleep like that. What shall we do with him? Hannah whispered her old refrain. Sadao shook his head. I must decide in a day or two, he promised. But certainly, he thought the second night must be the night. There rose a wind that night, and he listened to the sounds of bending boughs and whistling partitions. Hannah woke too. Ought we not to go and close the sick man's partition? She asked. No, Sadao said. He is able now to do it for himself. But the next morning, the American was still there. So, in this manner, first night gone, second night, Sadao had thought that the assassins would come and murder him, but then it did not happen. And in the same manner, third night also gone. And now Sadao was able to realize that the general might have forgotten this and there would be no assassins coming. Then the third night, of course, must be the night the wind changed to quiet rain and the garden was full of the sound of dripping eaves and running springs. Sadao slept a little better, but he woke at the sound of a crash and leaped to his feet. What was that? Hannah cried. The baby woke at her voice and began to wail. I must go and see. Wail means cry. So when there was a sound, Sadao and Hannah both woke up, and the baby also woke up. So Hannah said that I must go and see. But Sadao did not want her to go because he had thought that this might be the assassins. But he held her and would not let her move. Sadao, she cried, what's the matter with you? Don't go, he muttered, don't go. His terror infected her and she stood breathless, waiting. There was only silence. Together they crept back into the bed, the baby between them. Yet, when he opened the door of the guest room in the morning, there was the young man. He was very gay, that is, happy, and had already washed and was now on his feet. He had asked for a razor yesterday and had shaved himself, and today there was a faint color in his cheeks. I am well, he said joyously. Sadao drew his kimono round his weary body. He could not, he decided suddenly, go through another night. It was not that he cared for this young man's life. No, simply it was not worth the strain. Now Sadao has decided that he is not going to wait for the next night. You are well, Sadao agreed. He lowered his voice. You are so well that I think if I put my boat on the shore tonight with food and extra clothing in it, you might be able to row to that little island not far from the coast. It is so near the coast that it has not been worth fortifying. Nobody lives on it because in storm it is submerged. But this is not the season of storm. You could live there until you They pass quite near the island because the water is many fathoms deep there. Now Sadao had decided and he made a plan that he would put up his boat upon the coast, and in that he would put all the articles, and by that boat the American could go to a distant island which remains vacant or inhabited, so he can stay there and can wait for Korean fishing boat by which he could go away. The young man stared at him, slowly comprehending. Do I have to? He asked. I think so, Sadao said gently. You understand, it is not hidden that you are here. The young man, okay, he said simply. Sadao did not see him again until evening. As soon as it was dark, he had dragged the stout boat down to the shore, and in it he put food and bottled water that he had bought secretly during the day, as well as two quilts he had bought at a pawn shop. The boat he tied to a post in the water, for the tide was high. There was no moon, and he worked without a flashlight. So he had made all these arrangements secretly so that nobody would be able to see him. When he came to the house, he entered as though he were just back from his work. And so Hannah knew nothing. He did not even share this with Hannah. Yumi was here today, she said as she served his supper. Though she was so modern, still, she did not eat with him. Yumi cried over the baby. She went on with a sigh. She misses him so. The servants will come back as soon as the foreigner is gone, Sadao said. He went into the guest room that night before he went to bed himself and checked carefully the American's temperature, the state of the wound, and his heart and pulse. The pulse was irregular, but that was perhaps because of excitement. The young man's pale lips were pressed together and his eyes burned. Only the scars on his neck were red. I realize you are saving my life again, he told Sadao. Not at all, Sadao said. It is only inconvenient to have you here any longer. He had hesitated a good deal about giving the man a flashlight, but he had decided to give it to him after all. It was a small one, his own, which he used at night when he was called. So earlier he was thinking that he would not give him the torch, but then he was carrying a very small one, so he gave that torch to the American and told him how he has to use that torch for signaling. If your food runs out before you catch a boat, he said, signal me two flashes at the same instant. The sun drops over the horizon. Do not signal in darkness, for it will be seen. If you are all right but still there, signal me once. You will find fresh fish easy to catch, but you must eat them raw. A fire would be seen. Okay, the young man breathed. So he instructed the young man, the American, about all the special warnings. He also told him not to lit a fire on that island, otherwise, people would come to know that somebody is living there. Moreover, he told about signaling of the torch or flashlight. He was dressed now in the Japanese clothes which Sadao had given him, and at the last moment, Sadao wrapped a black cloth about his blond head. Now, Sadao said. The young American, without a word, shook Sadao's hand warmly and then walked quite well across the floor and down the step into the darkness of the garden. Once, twice, Sadao saw his light flash to find his way, but that would not be suspected. He waited until from the shore there was one more flash, then he closed the partition. That night he slept. You say the man escaped? The general asked faintly. So now, when he went to the general again, the general asked him about the white man. And Sadao said that the man had escaped. He had been operated upon a week before, an emergency operation to which Sadao had been called in the night. So when Sadao went there for that emergency operation, at that time Sadao had discussed about the white man to the general. For 12 hours, Sadao had not been sure the general would live. The gallbladder was much involved. Then the old man had begun to breathe deeply again and to demand food. Sadao had not been able to ask about the assassins. So far as he knew, they had never come. Sadao didn't ask about the murderers because he knew that they might not have been sent by the general. The servants had returned and Yumi had cleaned the guest room thoroughly and had burned sulfur in it to get the white man's smell out of it. Nobody said anything, only the gardener was cross. Cross means angry because he had got behind with his chrysanthemums. Chrysanthemums, one breed or variety of flowers. But after a week, Sadao felt the general was well enough to be spoken to about the prisoner. Yes, Excellency, he escaped, Sadao now said. Now Sadao made it clear to the general that this white American had escaped. He coughed, signifying that he had not said all he might have said, but was unwilling to disturb the general further. But the old man opened his eyes suddenly. That prisoner, he said with some energy. Did I not promise you I would kill him for you? You did, Excellency, Sadao said. Well, the old man said in a tone of amazement. So I did. But you see, I was suffering a good deal. The truth is, I thought of nothing but myself. In short, I forgot my promise to you. So here the general has acknowledged that he had forgotten that promise and he did not send any assassins. I wondered, Your Excellency, Sadao murmured. It was certainly very careless of me, the general said. But you understand it was not lack of patriotism or dereliction of duty. He looked anxiously at his doctor. If the matter should come out, you would understand that, wouldn't you? So here the general is trying to make him clear that general had not been moving away from his duties, nor even that he is not patriotic, but because he has become old, he has become much concerned about his own health, and he has forgotten about everything else. Certainly, Your Excellency, Sadao said. He suddenly comprehended that the general was in the palm of his hand, and that as a consequence he himself was perfectly safe. This is quite important here. General was in the palm of his hand. मतलब जनरल सडाओ की मुट्ठी में था कैसे General was informed about the white man by Sadao, and Sadao was promised by the general that he would be sending assassins. But because the general was not careful enough to send the assassins and the white man had escaped, so if Sadao is caught, the blame would go to the general as well. That's why we can say that the general was in the palm of his hand. I can swear to your loyalty, Excellency, he said to the old general, and to your zeal against the enemy. You are a good man, the general murmured and closed his eyes. You will be rewarded. But Sadao, searching the spot of black in the twilighted sea that night, had his reward. There was no prick of light in the dusk. No one was on the island. His prisoner was gone, safe, doubtless, for he had warned him to wait only for a Korean fishing boat. So now the next day when Sarao went to that place to just see that if there was any flashlight in order to indicate white man's presence, but there was no flashlight, so it means that he had gone by a Korean fishing boat. He stood for a moment on the veranda, gazing out to the sea from whence the young man had come that other night. And into his mind, although without reason, there came other white faces he had known. The professor at whose house he had met Hannah, a dull man, and his wife had been a silly, talkative woman. In spite of her wish to be kind, he remembered his old teacher of anatomy, who had been so insistent on mercy with the knife, and then he remembered the face of his fat and slatternly landlady. He had had great difficulty in finding a place to live in America because he was a Japanese. The Americans were full of prejudice, and it had been bitter to live in it, knowing himself their superior. How he had despised the ignorant and dirty old woman who had at last consented to house him in her miserable home. He had once tried to be grateful to her because she had, in his last year, nursed him through influenza, but it was difficult, for she was no less repulsive to him in her kindness. Now he remembered the youthful, haggard face of his prisoner, white and repulsive. Strange, he thought. I wonder why I could not kill him. So, after sending the white man away, he was just recalling the other white people he had met. And here comes the professor, the American professor, the anatomy professor, and his landlady, who was so talkative and who was so harsh as well. But once she had nursed him when he was suffering from influenza, and presently he recalls the face of this white man whom he had treated. So that's all for the chapter. Thank you.